It's Self-Love Talks. It's Thursday, and I'm here with the wonderful and very magical Kate Magic. So welcome, everyone, to Self-Love Talks. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Kate Magic, for being here.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you so much for inviting me on the 11/11 portal.
I know.
Day.
It's an angel day, isn't it? A twin flames day, a magical manifestation day.
Right.
Yeah. What does it mean to you, by the way, 11/11?
I think in the book I say magic numbers are like synchronicity candy. It's like just a little sweet treat from the universe going like, you're on track. You know, when you see the 11/11, or I have 88 as one of mine, or 222, I've been getting a lot the past few years. It's just like a little sign. It's like, there you go, you're good, you're sweet, you're all in line. It's like an alignment thing, right?
It is. I think a lot of people recognize it as that. So if you're watching Self-Love Talks tonight with us on the 11/11, you are aligned. And if you're watching it on another day, it doesn't matter. You're also aligned.
They might be watching it at 11:11 a.m. You know, they might be watching it at a really good time. It might be like 12:12 on the 12th of the 12th or something like that.
It might be, but it might not just be number magic, but it might just be another kind of magic that our viewers are finding themselves here with us tonight. And by the way, viewers, I would love to, thanks for being here. I want to see who you are. If you want to put your name in the chat and where you're from, that would be absolutely awesome. And then we can see you. And how are you enjoying your 11/11, by the way? Are you feeling it to be magical? Have you had synchronistic things? Have you had alignments today? How are you guys feeling? I'm really excited to have you on, Kate. You've been on my show a few times, and I've been on your show a few times, and we just, can't seem to get enough of each other. And as soon as you told me that you were launching your amazing new book today, because you've written a lot of books, you've been a very busy woman in the last lot of years. You're widely known around the world. Lots and lots of people know your work for your raw living lifestyle, your diet, but also your divine feminine and your metaphysical magic. And so when you said you were launching your book today on the 11/11, I was like, let's do a show. Let's talk about it, because I really believe that people need more magic in their lives, and they need some spiritual truth that is real truth and not spiritual BS, because there's tons of that around. And so I'm really happy to have you talking about your new book. Can you show everybody what it looks like, please?
Yes, I have the printed copy.
Woohoo!
There it is. It's all words, no pictures.
You know, it's actually really funny. I've been reading your book. I think you just want to prop it up there and keep it on the side so everyone can see it. I've been reading your book. You're like, wear it. I've been reading your book, and I tell you what, it got me hooked from the first few pages. By page 4, I think I was messaging you going, oh my God, I love it already. It's got an amazing vibe to it. It's got a really wonderful tone to it. It's very readable, and yet it just pulls you in immediately into this world, your world, I think, but also not just personal to you, like the world that other people can live in, and you're inviting people into that world in a really enticing, non-pushy. It's just a really wonderful book, and it's also really funny, and it made me laugh out loud. So how do you feel on your book launch day, Kate?
Well, I'm very grateful to be here with you, Tara. This is like the launch. It all feels, do you know what, actually the last few weeks I've really been getting into a space, because this is something we've talked about, and people that are, your viewers, your listeners will be, aware of this concept as well. It's like loving the shadow and, accepting everything as it is, and being grateful for everything, and seeing the higher sense in everything. But that's been really hard to do, right? The last 18 months, 20 months, whatever we're in now, it's been really hard to love the people who are creating this scenario that we're all kind of affected by. And the last couple of weeks, I've actually been able to come into a place of genuine gratitude for them, because it's getting more and more clear how them, I think it's like a chess game. We've talked about this before as well, but them making that chess move, which has affected us all in an unwanted way, has actually caused us all to really step up, right? And really step up in ways we wouldn't have done. Like we probably wouldn't be talking now if it wasn't for this, because it was all this that happened that was kind of one of the catalysts for us like reconnecting, right? So there's just so many things, and I wouldn't have written this book if life had been going on as normal, but it was the events of last year. Because the thing that really, one of the catalysts for writing it was when it all started happening, last spring, and everyone was talking, whatever framework they were looking at it from, if it was conspiracy theory framework or mainstream narrative framework, everyone was talking about things we don't want to happen. And I'm like, it's basic metaphysics. You don't talk about what you don't want to happen. And everyone's they're going to do this or they're going to do something like. And then the penny dropped. It's like, oh, people don't really know basic metaphysics. So that was like the starting point for like, I did an interview yesterday and I was saying, this is all stuff, like Q-Tara, we obviously came in on a soul level with a lot of code already unlocked, right? There's different ways of describing it, but our souls came in with a lot of wisdom that was integral to us at birth, right? And so our life's purpose has been slightly different from a lot of people's, because it's about learning how to express what we already know. Does that make sense? Rather than finding new things, it's like I feel like I've got all this information, all this wisdom, but how do I? And really, up until this point, I feel like I've kind of, I've been packaging up in ways as like, if I do it like this, will you like it? If you do it like this, will you get it? And last year gave me permission to go, I'm just gonna say it how I feel it. I'm just gonna say it because now's the time, right? It's now or never.
Absolutely.
So everything that happened that was unwanted last year brought us into this place of being even more clear and purposeful about creating what we want, which I'm really observing in my own life, and I'm sure you're observing in yours, and I'm sure a lot of the people listening and watching can identify with that. It's like it's becoming more and more clear of where that's leading us and how strong it's actually making us, right?
Absolutely. Do you agree, everyone watching? Is it becoming clearer to you? Because we can say this, and I completely agree with you, Kate. I'm like, to be honest, it's like you have to have your head buried somewhere to not see the real truth of what's going on. And when we talk about the truth, we're talking about the shadow that has been revealed, the shadow of humanity, because you were talking about the dark stuff, the shadow of humanity. Yes, it's been hard for us to work through it because it's been so prevalent. It's everywhere since this pandemic started in March last year. Particularly hard. It was already difficult to go and meet your fears and meet your darkness and meet all the things that you'd buried for years and your ancestors had buried for lifetimes and lifetimes. And then when it's absolutely everywhere all around you and the shadows are being unveiled and the light is being shone, the intensity is immense, and people do want to just check out, numb out, hide, and talk about how bad it is, because that's what's been going on. It's the news, isn't it? Everyone wants to talk about the current situation and extrapolate on it and go into what could be and what should be and what would be, and really get into the dark stuff, rather than actually understanding, like you said, that the more that we talk about it and get into it from a fear-based place, or from a, where we get obsessed about a story and the poor me and the drama, the part of our soul that gets sucked in, that's not really us operating from that higher place. When we get sucked into it and pulled into it and we're just talking about it and repeating it, we're actually creating more of it. We're manifesting. And this is what your book very clearly explains. It's like you've made it so simple, and it's quite a complicated thing to understand, but you've made it really simple. And of course, because it's so all overwhelming and the energies have been so intense, it has been harder to go, oh my goodness, this is my shadow, this is enormous, this is what I've got to do with everything, this is what it's bringing up in me. And if there was ever a time when light workers and inspirational new earth leaders like yourself were going to let their information out and your codes switched on, if you like, it's like now button, now activate. Tell people the real wisdom, tell people the truth of how they can enlighten, how they can empower, how they can manifest, how they can heal, how they can be, their fullest potential. Now is the time to be doing that. And you took that opportunity. You have gone through your shadow. You continue to do that. And you become lighter for it. You become more honest for it. You become more real. And therefore, in my world, in my heart, more powerful of a leader, because you're not talking because you read it in somebody else's book and you learned the script, Kate. You're talking from a real soul, lived, embodied example. You're real, you're legit. And that's why I love hanging out with you so much. And that's why I recommend your book. That was a bit of a rant. I went on a rant.
What we're here for.
I went on a rant. I totally get you, though. The same thing happened to me. I think in March last year, it was like getting a signal from the universe, literally going, Tara, time to take your lid off. Stop playing small. So all the stuff that you've got inside of you that you don't share, time to let it out. And I'm like, but what if people are not ready for it? Because we had to keep it hidden for a long time. Hey, Kate.
Well, that's that. I think again, people who listen to this will be aware of this kind of perspective on it. But it's thousands of years, right? This has been going on for thousands of years. Is that I'm not an expert on galactic history, and I'm starting to get into it, and it's so fascinating to me. But basically, it's thousands of years of us being burned at the stake and all that stuff. So it's not as easy as just waking up and going, oh, I'm going to say it today. It's like it's very deep in us, this idea that if we speak out, we're going to get into trouble.
Very much so, because of the threat. This is the fear, isn't it? And this is our own shadow. We're afraid of our own shadow. We're afraid of the threat, but we don't actually know what that is. And it's still happening now. Like that, everything that humanity have been hiding from and running from really is the threat of something bad happen, and our own fears making it worse because we don't really know. So we're hiding from ourselves. We're hiding from the unknown instead of turning and embracing the unknown and saying, actually, bring it on. Bring it on. Come on with your threats. Come on with the fear programming, and let's just do it. And when somebody faces their fear, like you did, or you go, okay, right, I'm just going to say, yes, I've been burned at the stake before. Yes, I've been in thousands of years of suppression. And so what? Here I'm going to share the truth. I'm just going to be me. And when you do that, and when more of us do that, that's the catalyst that everybody needs, right? It's easier to transform and change and make a decision of empowerment when we see somebody go before us doing it.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like I'm really celebrating the launch of your book because it's you and you've created it and it's amazing. And it's another ripple effect for everybody to take a leaf out of your book, literally, and go really be themselves, share your truth, share your message. Just take your lid off, let your voice out, let your truth out, and face your fears and learn some really cool tips, really cool tools, and learn about metaphysics and learn about manifestation, and go and create something really wild and amazing. Like, this is the time.
Yes.
So, what's your favorite part in the book, Kate? Because there's lots of different sections. You talk about divine feminine. You talk about, the section I'm on at the moment is where you're talking about the three main things that people have problems with, which is no time, no money, and no love. And I'm just really enjoying that so far. Like, that's been really interesting for me. But which was your favorite part of the book that you think is the most important for other people to read, and also that's the most fun for you to have written?
That's a good question. It might be that part, actually, the three biggest reframes, because I feel that, it's one thing to say, we're dealing with our shadow, but then it's another thing to actually get into the tools of in what are the ways that we limit ourselves, and what are the ways that we play small, and what are the ways that we don't recognize ourselves as divine beings, right? So we're both coming from the same place, is that we are love and light. That is our nature, that is our essence. We are love and light, and we're in this kind of state of somnambulance. Humanity is in this state of somnambulance where we've forgotten our true nature, our true divine essence. And all this is a recovery program, right? To remember what we did know and we've forgotten because of the heaviness of the period that we've been through. And so this is all beautiful, and this is all lovely, and this is, a part of what we do. But then what's the nitty gritty, right? So you have your I Love You Me program, which is your way of getting into the nitty gritty. This is real stuff. This is like the day to day, like how do we actually apply this? And then with those three things, those are the three biggest ways that we don't recognize ourselves as aligned with the power that creates worlds, right? We forget, we put ourselves in limitation, we put ourselves into the 3D matrix, right? And we go, I'm going to identify with this limited egoic aspect of myself within the matrix. And then we get into blame and judgment and victim and anger and guilt and all those emotions because I don't have enough time, don't have enough money, nobody loves me. Right?
And they're the three biggest reasons, they're the three biggest excuses people tell themselves, right, for not stepping up, for not being who they truly are, and having the best life ever.
Yeah. And we all have versions of those stories. And for some of us, one of the blocks is bigger than the other. Some people are really good at abundance codes. Don't have any problem with abundance, can't do the love. Some people are really good at love, can't do the abundance, right? So we all have different things. Some of us have an on-off relationship with it, maybe, where we can do it sometimes and then we don't know how we did it before and it all goes wrong. It's like everyone's different. So everyone's got a different relationship to that. But it's like having that awareness that they're three energies, basically, because money is our material, our 3D matrix representation of abundance. Time is our 3D matrix representation of energy, of motion, right? Because there is always motion in the universe. It's just time is clocks and calendars a bit. They're the illusion, right? Clocks and calendars are not part of the infinite whole. But that's what we use. That's when we say time, we think of clocks and calendars. So how do we find real time, which is beyond clocks and calendars, which are material constructs which are designed to keep us in limitation? And how do we find real abundance beyond money, which again is a construct designed to keep us in limitation and create hierarchies? And how do we find love, which is a big part of your work, and where all the twin flame stuff comes in as well, is like, how do we find that true, real, deep, soul level love that we all crave and we look for. So it's all really simple. And same with your work, is like, with what we're doing is we're taking concepts that sound quite grand and lofty and maybe far off to people, and you bring it back into present moment awareness, and you go, well, how about just starting off with your languaging? Like, how often do you say, I don't have enough time? Because when you understand time is a limitless energy, then that can't be a true statement to make, because you can say, I've forgotten how to access my infinite connection to time, or my infinite time resource. But to say I don't have enough time is then creating a limitation by the power of your language. So there's lots of little things like that, where it's just like how we can make those little tweaks, little reframes. That's what I call them, reframes. It's not necessarily changing what you're doing as much as the way you think and you speak about yourself and your life, because thoughts and words have as much power as actions. And when we make those little tweaks and little reframes, we suddenly notice, you know, and this for me is a huge part of it, which I don't tend to get into so much because we're always in this bit of it, but it's the level of synchronicity that I experience in my life is off the charts. Like, I'm having a really total synchronicity week this week, and it's just, I'll just tell you a little story.
Yes.
So my favourite song of the year is called Darkest Hour by Poppy Judah, and it's the song I've been playing a lot since it came out a few months ago, and I was playing it yesterday probably and thinking, I made that decision, like, this is my favourite song of the year. And then I'm just staying in a hotel, and I got here and I was singing it in my head and dancing around the room to it in my head. I just went down to reception. Poppy Judah is in reception.
The actual person.
The actual singer, and I kind of know her. I don't really know her. I know her by face. She knows me by face, but we've never had a conversation. I was like, Poppy, she's like, I'm playing tonight at 9:00. So after this, I'm going to go and see her sing. But that like happens all the time. So it's just a little example of when we reframe, then it's not like nothing then happens in our life because we've got rid of all that stuff. It's like with the love stuff, when you know, this is a big part of your work, right? When you think that you need to have people in your life and you settle for things, it feels like, if I don't settle for these relationships, then I'm going to be all on my own. I'm going to be sad. And what we find is when we learn that self-love and we learn those boundaries and we learn to say no to the people that don't value us, what comes in is even more beautiful relationships and even more wonderful relationships. So it's this thing of, when you let go of all this stuff, you just think, oh, but what steps in immediately, because that's how the universe works, right? What steps in immediately, as soon as you let go of limitations, the universe is dying to give you all your abundance.
Limitless. It just makes sense when you put it like that. If you let go of limitation and you let go of it, you've immediately got abundance of whatever it is that you need: time, money, or love.
All of it.
And the thing is, right, people, I think, can go, oh yeah, that makes sense logically, but then when it comes into our normal everyday life, it's one of those nice things that you read on Instagram or something, or you read in a book and you put the book down and then you go on living. And the thing is, it's one thing to know it, but if you know something and you don't do it, then what does that make you? Right? And I'm not going to say, because everybody can make their own ideas up of what that makes you. If you know something and you know it's true, but you're not doing it, and then you're having a life that doesn't serve you and you're not happy with and you're miserable, then, but you know what the answer, because you've been told the answer, but you're not doing it. It doesn't make, like, why are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense. So it really is helpful to have, because we're human, right? We are a little bit, it takes us a while to figure things out, doesn't it? I mean, look.
We're a collective. I think that's key, right? Is we're a collective, and we've been trained to think in isolation and separation. And so we're all going about our individual things thinking, I have to get this, I have to get this. And then we're missing the fact that we're limiting our power as a collective because we're all working in isolation. So when we start going, I'm going to work with the force of the universe, with the glue of the universe, everything starts manifesting with us. But that's why it's so hard, because it's not just you, it's everyone around you that's affecting your thoughts and your attitude to life and your perception. It's like when you travel, you notice, oh, you go to this country and there's an agreement in this country that everyone agrees that this is the way certain things are done. And so one time I went from Turkey to Switzerland within like a couple of days. I had like 3 days in between, or 1 day in between 3 days. It's in Turkey and Switzerland. In Turkey, if they say we're leaving at 12, they're probably going to leave at 2 or 3. In Switzerland, if they say we're leaving at 12, if you get in the car at 2 minutes past 12, you're really late. They're really annoyed. because they were leaving at 12, right? So that was one of those times when it highlighted to me, like, we create these consensus realities, and then everyone just goes, well, if you say we're leaving at 12, we'll probably start maybe thinking about getting ready to go, but we're going to take our time about it. Or, you know, we're going to be Swiss clockwork, we're going to be on time. So we're always being affected by all the programming, all the belief systems of everyone around us, which is what makes it hard to extricate ourselves, because you might feel in your heart that you deserve an abundant life, but you might be in a situation where everyone around you is not living abundantly, especially when it's parents, especially when it's family, and they might guilt trip you or shame you for feeling like you deserve more, you know, and it's hard to see your way out of that, right? Because everyone around you is telling you, who are you to value yourself? Who are you to want abundance in life? And so, but that's why we're here, right? We're here to smash those codes. We're here to break those matrices, and evolve. So it's always about having the self-belief. If you have this level of awareness that we're talking about, and you feel like, oh, I'm in this place in life, I'm not living abundantly, and I don't see how I can possibly get from here to there. It's just changing your thoughts, and day by day, week by week, you go, oh, look how that thing came in. Look how I manifested that. And it gets easier and easier, and over time you get there. It's it's recognizing that we're always working within that collective. We're always working within the consensus reality of what it means to be human, right? Which is very, very limited currently.
It's kind of two ways, isn't it? Because you have the consensus reality, like the masses, everybody going with the crowd, you know, like sheep. And that's not such a good thing, because you want to be your individual, you want to wake up, you want to do things differently, you don't want to live a poor life or a limited life. And it is really hard to change because you're in that crowd and everybody's going that way. And yet there is a bigger field, a collective consciousness field, the quantum field, and this is what you talk about in your book really, really brilliantly, where that manifestation doesn't have to just be something that you know because you read it in the book, but you can tap into it and access in the bigger collective and really be a part of the unity consciousness of all humanity, which is a higher consciousness. So when we talk about the collective, it's like there's a collective disharmony. You can be in the soup of the poor me and the poverty and the lack and the limitation, and I haven't got enough and I'm not enough and all of that stuff, and we're trapped and we're, you know, going with the, you know, basically like lemmings off the edge of a cliff right now, humanity, and everybody's just getting swept up in the crowd. And yes, that is difficult. To go against that is hard. And what I love in your book is because you're not saying go against it, you're just saying tap in, go up, tap into higher consciousness, tap into the collective field, the higher collective field, which is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's different to the masses. Tap into the higher collective field, tap into your own higher knowledge and work on the quantum field, so that these things, it's not like wading against treacle, going against all the crowd of the lemmings going off the cliff. It's not like going upstream. You feel actually more inflow, like a little water droplet going down the river to the source. Your inflow with the universe, with a higher collective. Yeah. And that's what I get from your book. That's what you wrote about, isn't it? How to work in the metaphysical, how to work on the quantum, and how to manifest yourself and everything, or how to live a magical life by doing that.
Yeah. There's a universal law, and I call it at the moment false matrix. There's a false matrix, and there's false matrix law, and that's the law that we grew up with, which is police and politicians and time and money and all that stuff. It's a false matrix. It's not based on universal law, and it's dissonant and it's discordant, and that's why we all feel uncomfortable in it, and that's why we all struggle with it. And then there's universal law, which is infinite and eternal, and it's discovering those universal truths within ourselves. So this is another big part of it, right? it's an embodiment process, and it's about not giving your power to anyone else. No politician, no celebrity, no spiritual guru. Have I disappeared? Am I still here?
You're still there.
Okay. Not give it to anyone, but then everything is within you. There's a universe within you. The universe is inside of you as much as it's outside of you, and it's learning how to tap into that infinite and eternal wisdom that is in your soul, because it's in everyone, because we are all part of everything. So it's discerning what is your heart, what is your soul's truth, and what is your limited egoic consciousness programming that you've picked up from the Force Matrix in this lifetime that is actually keeping you back. So it's an unpicking, isn't it? Because when we're born into it, so much of our identity is a part of that Force Matrix, and we can't discern the difference because it's all us. So we do these things and we think, well, this makes me feel good, this feels comfortable to me, this feels right to me, because it's what we've always done, and we don't discern that actually it's a behaviour that is getting in our way.
And it's not really us, like you said. It came from the Matrix. It came from programming. It's like you take on all everybody else's clothing, almost, so much so you've got so many layers of it on, you can't see the you underneath that just wants to be free of all that and go, this isn't mine, this doesn't really fit me, doesn't smell good, doesn't feel me. And it's like taking off loads and loads of layers of other people's clothing. And yes, it's uncomfortable because it's so familiar, but my goodness, when you reveal your true, innocent, naked, free self underneath, that's what you believe in creating, isn't it? That's where you believe that we're all headed, Kate. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because what was the motivation of you writing the book? Where do you see us going?
Well, like you, I've always seen New Earth coming, although I didn't call it New Earth. I used to call it the New Age. When I was in my teens, I knew that the New Age was coming, and I would have probably got that off, I don't know what writers and people were around then, but there would have been someone talking about the New Age in the 80s, right? And I would have got the phrase there. New Agers, they were called New Agers, weren't they, in the 80s?
It was an extension of hippies, really.
Yeah, Fraser Clark. I probably nobody knows Fraser Clark, but he was a big influence on me. He was like hippie guy that used to hang around. So I always knew the New Age was coming, but I didn't know. I just knew that I would come to do that. I knew that that's why I was here. So when everything happened last year, to me, I think we talked about this before, but I suddenly really made sense of myself, because I could see, I came for this. This is it. This is what it all is. Now it's happening now. And so since it all started, 90% of the time I've had a lot of clarity, a lot of direction, a lot of, we're in this time of confusion, but I've a lot of clarity. We're in this time where people don't know what they're doing, and I'm like, oh no, I know exactly what I'm meant to be doing now. So it's, I do feel, and that's something that, I do mention in the book. I had to ask myself, because I always wondered, why do I think this way and other people don't? And I do think it's important to answer the question with a kind of multidimensional answer, because that's what we are moving into, is this multidimensional way of being, right? So it is to do with past lives. It is to do with starseed ancestry. It is to do with all these other things other than the physical, because you can't just say, I was born here and I had these experiences as a child, and that didn't lead me into doing this work like that. This was something that I was born with, that I came with. And so recognizing the fact that we're more than the physical body, recognizing the fact that we are souls that have incarnated here on a mission, is a really important part of how we move forward. And I think, everyone's got different theories. I think it's probably the truth to say nobody actually knows on any side of the game. Nobody actually knows how it's playing out. We know that we win, and we know that it's not far away, and maybe it'll be this year, maybe it'll be next year, maybe it'll be 6 years, maybe it'll be 10 years. I hope not. But we're definitely about to make a quantum evolutionary leap as humans and enter into a way of being which is actually much more like Star Trek than we would have thought.
Well, ultimately, we're always creating our reality, aren't we? If we hand over power to other people and deny our own power, deny the fact that we even have a choice, or deny the fact that we are powerful beings and we hide ourselves and pretend that we're small and be in our small egos and our limitations, then we're always going to be creating a reality from that place. We're going to have more of that going into the future. And more of that with more and more people on the planet is not looking so much fun. It's getting really limited. It's getting really restricted because it cannot sustain itself. It's like when you start to get into the, the metaphysics of things, dark energy and dark matter, you put enough of it together in small clumps and it gets denser and denser and denser. This negative, this lack, this limitation, this poverty, this crushing and suppression of being who we truly are. When you put enough of those dark matter molecules together, what happens? It's going to implode on itself.
Yeah.
Right? At some point, it's going to implode on itself. And we're in a rapid situation where humanity is either going to completely implode on itself. And I feel like we're in that implosion state right now, to be honest. Everything is falling apart. It's like the complete destruction of what we know it is to be a human being, what we know it is with our minds and our concepts of history, I would say. And I would actually suggest that virtually all of history, the way that we've been taught it in books, is total fabrication. It's not actually what was going on. It's not the truth. It's stories. It's his story, right? It's total fabrication to give us a linear idea of who we think we are. And we're not linear beings. And we can't sustain with that imaginary version of ourselves because it's not the truth. It's like it's only up here. It's like living from this part of your mind only and not acknowledging you have an entire body and a soul, right? It's non-sustainable. So I feel like people have a choice, and if they don't use their power of choice, which is a choice to not use your power, to not use your choice, to not use your voice, is to give it away, and you're going to be part of the implosion. Or we can tap into that higher field that you're talking about in your book. We can actually create magical life. And we can do exactly, and I love how you said this, Kate. I love how you write and I love how you speak, because you said that we can operate from, well, I had this timeline, this linear thing happen in my life, so I naturally just decided to just write this book. No, you were born with something in your soul that had a divine timing for it to get activated and for it to manifest and come out of you. And what if other people listening to this right now, and what if people that read your book, and this is what I hope they do, is they recognize, I have a divine timing. I have something in my soul that needs to activate. It's not linear. I'm not part of this group of people operating from limitation, or I don't want to be. And I'm going to use my power of choice to actually manifest my actual magic and my actual me. And tap into that higher collective where there's loads of others of us hanging out. So you're not going to be on your own. It's not like, well, you're going to be lonely. No, there's loads of us. It's really fun. And I'm hoping that by more people reading your book, that they're going to get that activation, that message, and go, it's my time for my soul to come alive now and to cast off all of these times when I didn't make choices, all the times when I was caught in other people's rubbish reality, when I was wearing other people's clothes, other people's dogmas and giving my power away. I really hope, and I trust and I pray, and I believe that a lot of people are going to do this. And I think those that are saying, I don't know how I feel it, I've got the feeling, I know I want to, I just don't know how, that they're going to have that synchronicity exactly the same way that you had the synchronicity of seeing your singer, and the synchronicity, because it's 11:11 today, even though it's dates and calendars and we're in the matrix time reality, it's still 11:11, right? We're going to use that as a magic number and use this time to manifest your book into their hands, so that they go, oh, this is how I do it. Oh my goodness, what I thought was really difficult is actually really easy and really fun. And of course I can do it because I was born to do it. You just needed something to validate you and remind you and give you a few pointers that you probably didn't know yet. So that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. I think also it's just present moment awareness. So it's that thing of, is the echo really bad?
It's quite a lot of echo. I'm going to buy you a microphone for your birthday.
Thank you. It's present moment awareness, isn't it? Because this is the thing, it's coming into our bodies, it's coming into our hearts, and our head's job is to make it complicated. Our brain's job is to make up stories. So it's coming into your body, it's coming into your heart, and it's breathing, and it's going, okay, and this is where Divine Feminine comes in, right? So it's going, I'm just going to be in the moment, I'm going to be in surrender, I'm going to come into a place of peace with all that is. And when we come into that space, then Divine Masculine arises, where it's like, okay, I feel like I need to do this, and it might be something just like, I'm going to go to the shops and buy a bottle of water, but then when you go to the shops, you might bump into someone, or you might have another idea because you see something.
You might bump into Kate Magic, who signs.
Right.
You might.
So it's allowing that beautiful flow of Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine, where we really create space for inspiration to come in. We follow the inspiration without questioning it, without going, I don't need water. Why do I think I should go to the shop? Maybe the shop's going to be closed tomorrow. Maybe I should go anyway now because I just feel like I need to go to the shop. You don't question the inspiration. You just follow it. And then from that, you're in the right time, right place. And then it's humility, isn't it? Because we're in service. It's when you experience the divine in your life, when you experience that bliss, that nectar in your life, that's the thing that you want, right? So it's
the
being
thing
of service, and then coming back into humility, and then following your purpose. So there's this beautiful flow of Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine energy in your life, and not getting caught up in the false matrix energies like victimhood or arrogance, or all these where you start thinking it's about you, or you're trying to make money out of it, or all these things that are actually going to take you away from your purpose, because they're like distractions from who we really are. So it's always having at the heart of it this beautiful Divine Feminine energy, which is everything's perfect as it is. There's a divine intelligence that runs through everything, and it's got everything under control. And when I tap into that, I'm part of that, everything starts working for me. And when I'm coming from fear and anxiety and stress and worry, or ego and I'm going to save the world, then you're not in it. So you can't. So you really always have to that's the beautiful thing about it, is that metaphysics is the study of what's beyond matter. So it's not related to where you live. It's not related to how much money you've got. It's not related to how much time you've got. It's not related to any of it. It's related to being able to hold yourself in present moment awareness. And that's why last year was such a gift, because it was really an invitation for so many of us to go, I'm going to take more time in nature, I'm going to sleep more, and just come back into the simple things, because we had so much taken away from us. So, I think that's the beauty of it, is the simplicity of it, and the knowing that it's always inside of you, and it's always in present moment. And it's not something that we have to make complicated, and we have to make expensive, and we have to make time consuming.
Absolutely. And so I've put your details up here, Kate, rawliving.co.uk. this is where you've got a lot of good stuff on your website, you and Chris and the family and everybody that works in your team. In the Raw Living, because one of the things that Kate does really well is coaches and helps people with nutrition, and you've been raw food for years. We talked about that in another interview. But on this Raw Living website, not only can they find really cool organic cotton duvets and really cool chaga mushroom powder and stuff like that, and raw chocolate, but you can also find Kate's book. Kate, can you show everyone again?
Yes.
Can you show everyone again your book, please?
So it's an ebook, it's a physical book, printed book, and it's also an audio book. I made an audio book as well.
Hold it up so we can all see. It's called Actually Magic. I want to see the title underneath as well, what it says at the bottom, because it says a 21st century guide to metaphysics. Yep, to metaphysics. That's what it says.
So how to live a magical life.
How to live a magical life. It's a really, really good book. I'm not very good at reading books. I read souls and energy, and I don't really dig reading books that much. Every now and again, I dip into one and I'll read maybe a third of it. But your book, I was just guzzling it. It takes quite a lot for me to actually read a book and keep reading a book, even though I write books, which is a bit weird, but I really loved it. I really did love it, honestly. And I really encourage people to go check it out and have a look at Raw Living. And I had a fantastic, can I tell you my little story? I had a good synchronicity today. Just another little thing when you know you're on track, because last week sometime I had an inspiration. People need help through, there's a series of portal events, cosmic portal events, and between now and solstice being one of them. And actually the first one was the new moon on the 4th of November. There was a particular set of energies and planets and stuff happening there. And then there's a lunar eclipse on the 19th of November. Then there's a solar eclipse on the 3rd, 4th of December. And then there's the solstice on the 21st of December. And when I'm feeling into the energy going forward, I'm like, there's going to be an intense jump of energy in November. And I know we're in November now and I can feel it coming. And I really feel that we always know that the eclipses are intense energy portals, right? This big stuff happens. So there's the release with the lunar and then the new birth with the solar. And so I just got this little nudge saying people really need help through these initiations. It's like going through a portal, and how do you get through rather than get slumped or get hit by the energy? How do you rise and go through it in a really amazing way? And one of the things that I really know that people have been struggling with is death. There's a lot of people dying, and the reason we're in a pickle the way we are right now is because people are so afraid of dying that they're doing all kinds of crazy, unimaginable things that you wouldn't have done otherwise unless you'd have been absolutely terrified of dying. The things that people are doing to their bodies and allowing to happen to their minds because they're afraid of dying. So long story short, I'm basically doing a meditation. I'm calling it a sacred ceremony healing activation. And I did one last week. I'm doing one for the lunar eclipse next Friday, and then the solar eclipse, and then the solstice. And what I decided completely separately, whilst all this was being planned and is happening, the other day I was like, I need to do a green juice fast. And I'm not very good at fasting. And I can drink green juice for like a day, and then I want like toast or something, because I'm really I'm really bad at it. I used to be better at it when I was younger, but now I've got really lazy, and I'm like, no, my body needs a green juice fast. And I know it's not spring, and so people are like, Tara, it's the wrong season. I'm like, I don't care. My body is telling me I need a green juice fast for 5 days, right? That's what I get coming through. And then so 2 days ago, I had this idea. I was like, I'm going to invite everyone to join me. Who else wants to join me and my tribe and my followers? Who else feels like it's time to do a fast or a green juice fast because of these energies that we're coming through? The clearer I am in my body, the more detox, the more alive, the more awake, the more vibrant my cells are, the more flushed out of all the other stuff like cheese and bread and stuff that I love to have, I'm gonna have these more powerful energy to support me going through these big shifts, right? I was just going to do it by myself. I was going to start like in tomorrow or something. And instead I invited everyone to join me, and I said, okay, because I'm inviting everyone to join, I'll just start on Monday. So we'll all start on Monday. Who wants to join me? And then I didn't put it together until today that when I start the juice fast on Monday, and the 5 days will end on Friday, and so it will be the last day of my cleanse or fast, whatever, the same day that I'm doing this sacred ceremony healing activation that's called Dancing Through Identity Death. So it's like, I was like, I couldn't have timed that better if I'd have planned it. And I didn't plan any of it. I just felt the inspiration and did it without even thinking. I was just like, oh yeah, let's invite people. Oh yeah, let's start Monday. Oh yeah, let's do this. And just completely operating on that intuitive, impulsive, heart-led guidance. And it's like you said, it's just it might not seem like a big thing, but it's another example of everyday aligned synchronicity, aligned timing, aligned magic for everything. What do you think, Kate? I know that was a bit of a long story about that.
No,
but
it's great.
You're a green juice expert.
I'm a
What
green
do you think? What do you think of me doing a green fast?
Well, that's it. It's definitely, there's a whole chapter on it, but it's definitely part of the embodiment process, I think, is this cleansing of the channel, because we are conduits for divine, right? And again, it's, and you know, this I'm coming from with my work with the food is that a lot of this stuff that we are encouraged to eat has been deliberately contains poisons. You know, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of it is intentionally, you know, when we get into stuff like fizzy drinks and just the whole, it's all divine feminine. A big aspect of divine feminine, right, is coming into right relationship with Mother Earth and coming into right relationship with that energy, that spirit. So we're living in harmony with the earth. And most of the foods that are the most heavily marketed and easily accessible foods are foods that are not in that right relationship with Mother Earth, and they're not in that right relationship with their bodies. And I believe that's an intentional thing. And what we've been seeing play out in the last 18 months, 20 months is just like an extension of that, right? From these companies like Monsanto and Pfizer, they've all got the same agenda, which is, yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
I know, and the crazy thing is, like, you shut down your local, healthy cafe, but you can still go to McDonald's, and people are queuing up. I mean, here in France, people love it. I mean, I've never seen queues in the drive-through McDonald's like I see here in France. I'm gobsmacked. You know, it's like, isn't that strange?
Right.
You got to question that.
Yes. I think it's very addictive. So there's a lot of marketing.
I would not actually know, because I've never eaten it in my life. Born and raised vegetarian. I was very lucky. I had very conscious parents that chose to be vegetarian about 2 years before I was even conceived, or before I was born. So it's always been very easy for me. But I'm in France, Kate. They make the most wonderful bread and the most wonderful cheese. And it's like, oh, it's super hard not to have it.
It's about listening to your body and doing what's right for you. But there's so much pollution in the air, in the water, in the soil. It's just everywhere. So I think we do really need to do these cleanses and these detoxification techniques, and we do need to really consider what we're putting in our bodies and on our bodies, because it's also skincare, it's also household cleaning products, it's also, you know, like, what are you sleeping in? You know, like sheets, are you sleeping in organic bedding, or, you know, like, is it man-made chemical bedding? Like, all these things are all having an effect on our bodies. So if we want to come into right relationship with the divine, you know, another way of expressing what the divine is to talk about source, right? Source energy. So any foods, any cleaning materials, any skincare products that are made with products that are from source, rather than, the more things are interfered with and processed, the more that's easier for then us to come into alignment with source. And I think that is a big part of why I got into raw foods and everything so young, because I was really, really craving that connection to source energy, that I knew that was the place I wanted to exist in. That was the place I wanted to experience life from, was that place where I'm just always in deep communion with my higher power, my higher self, whatever you want to call it. And when I eat these organic plant foods, that's very easy to do. And when I eat cooked foods, when I eat processed food, which obviously I don't do anymore, but if I was to eat some processed foods, some heavier foods, some animal products, then your energy drops, your frequency drops, and it's harder. What you can, if you're good at meditating and praying and everything, you can still access divine, of course, because it's always there, but it's just harder work. So if you want that ease of access, if you want that flow of access, the more we eat that high vibe diet, the easier it is to stay in that place of
absolutely. Well, it's like when you run a car, like you said, the body's a transmitter. And you said it so brilliantly in the book, like 1% of us is matter, is actual something you can touch. 99% of us is invisible. It's it's not antimatter, but it's consciousness. It's source, it's isness, it's presence, or it's the void. And so we are constantly transmitting and channeling cosmic energies through onto this earth. And so one of the things we have to get out of the way is the mind, which blocks it. Our thinking, our limited thinking blocks it. But another thing that blocks us being that channel is the density in our bodies, what we put in our cells, what we put in our blood, what we feed ourselves with, and it clogs up the system, doesn't it? And you don't get such a good, clear communication channel between you and source, or you and you even, your own body, your own nature, your own mother earth. The channel gets really blocked. And so I know it's like, that's why my body's just going, come on, there's some bigger energies coming. And also, you've been eating too much cheese since you moved to France, Tara. I haven't actually been eating that much, but you know what? It's something I want to stop, but it's more the bread. They've got this really yummy bread. It's really hard to stop eating it. And I do, and then I start, and I'm like, my whole body is like
bread, but you just eat it with a big salad.
Oh, I eat a lot of salad, and I eat a lot of greens, and I eat a lot of really yummy fresh food all the time. But I'm also listening to my cells going, I need to be clean. Like they're just going, let's open up more space in here and start opening up to higher energies. Because I've been, I'm always a really healthy person. It's just what I suppose I'm getting at is just that listening to what my body is asking for.
Well, it is, the Ascension process is an embodiment process. So it's creating, like you say, the cells are containers for, the cells are like mobile phones. We've got millions of cells in the body, billions, trillions of cells in the body, and they're like mobile phones in that they're tiny things, but they contain unlimited information. So the more we cleanse, the more we can tap into that higher source energy. And as we do that, again, as a collective, we have to do it as a collective in order to step up as a collective. But then we start to access, this. Some people call it carbon to crystalline, right? This is the Ascension process. Green juice is the Ascension process.
Woohoo! And it is carbon to crystalline. I've literally seen it. I started, as you know, Kate, I do soul reading, and many years ago, and I was working from a clinic in Hove. I think this was like 2007, 2008. And that was the first time I literally looked into somebody's subconscious, because I can see people's heads and stuff, right? And look at what's programmed into their brain and where it is and stuff and how they think. And I was reading this girl, and I saw her subconscious mind, because she'd been clearing out all the gunk in her subconscious, it started to go crystalline.
Wow.
I'd never seen that before. And then once I started seeing it in one person, I started seeing it more and more and more and more. It's like cleaning out all the dust and the cotton wool and the cobwebs and all the yuck that's clogged up our consciousness. And then the crystalline structure can materialize. It's right there. It can it's got space to literally change form and change physical state. So if that's possible, and that is possible, and that is happening, what can we all do to support that process? Because who wants to be made of crystals? Like, who wants to transmit and channel higher frequencies, higher energies, and be more in touch with source and your creator? Everyone. Like, we all long for home. We all want to feel like we're in the love where we belong, and we can recognize ourselves, and we're not a stranger. It's like when you see your parents, if you've got really, really loving parents and you haven't seen them for ages and you see them again, it's like, wow, because you see yourself looking back at you. You see the unconditional love looking at you. And so for those of us, or those people that don't have unconditionally loving parents, it's like we all long for the same thing, to be held in unconditional love and to have unconditional love reflected back at us, that we see ourselves. That's what's happening for us when we know ourselves and we self-realize and we love ourselves and we get connected. Then we see the love in ourselves and everywhere, don't we? Like literally everywhere. Yeah. And you end up having and I know you talk about your life being blissful. Like literally you feel the bliss in your cells. You feel it on a visceral, tangible level, not just, a high spaced out state because you've, smoked too much weed that day or something, Kate. I know you don't smoke weed, but you know what I mean? It's not that high disconnected. It's in your cells, because your cells are going, yay, I'm connected, I'm happy, and Kate's conscious of me, and we're plugged in, and we're channeling, and we're living in that high state of vibration. And so that's, my cells are going, I need to be in a higher state of vibration, get rid of the cheese. So I'm like, okay, cells, let's do this. And I can really feel that, that I can feel the crystallizing of us as a collective, not just seeing individuals, but I can I feel it in my body, because I don't know about you, Kate, how empathic you are, but I'm super, super empathic. And when I feel the collective and feel humanity, yes, there's lots of people damaging themselves and putting things in their body that are really not natural and are not good for them. But at the same time, exactly simultaneously, it's like the duality is always in harmony, right? Light and dark is always in harmony. And I can feel the crystallizing of the collective, of us as individual unique beings, crystallizing into a collective unison vibration that's like an orchestra finding the other parts of the orchestra and then playing together and making music together. I literally can feel that with the collective. And that's why I really feel like there's some really big energies coming up over Christmas. After the eclipses, through those eclipse times, there's massive energies. And I would really encourage everyone, because we're going to be transmuting, we're going to be asked to transmute a lot more energy than even we've been doing so far. And it's been an intense year, right? So I really encourage everyone to listen to your own selves, listen to your own inner wisdom, your own inner guidance, listen to your soul, and choose to up your game, choose to step up, choose to clean out your cells if that's what you feel to do. Come join me on my juice fast. It's not like something I'm a teacher of, I'm just doing it. Maybe Kate, you can jump in and give us sage advice on our journey, and share some recipes maybe from your book.
I have got a book called Raw Transitions, which is 28-day menu guide to transitioning into raw. So it starts off cooked vegan, right, and transitions into fully raw. And there's drinks recipes like juice and milks, plant milks, and
brilliant.
And
so
stuff.
You can jump in, and I'm on Telegram and Facebook mostly, and on YouTube here. But if you guys want to join and do the juice fast with me, find me on YouTube, find me on Facebook, or find me on Telegram, and come and join in. And Kate, I think it would be really cool, because if you can put links and stuff to your books there, because you've got all the expert wise advice, that would be brilliant, and help us to do that cleanse. There's a whole bunch of people doing it with me. It's going to be really, really fun. I think there's probably going to be hundreds by the time we get into it. It's going to be awesome fun. And then we're also doing the sacred ceremony meditations as well. So you can go and find that on my website. It's under the events section, taraloveperry.com. And Kate's book, In This Timing, I think the three things have just come together today. Like that realization that the juice fast, the sacred ceremonies, and then you on here today with me on 11/11 talking about actually magic and metaphysical manifestation, and it's just like, what a great combination.
I have to say, like you said, I've written lots of books now, and usually it's really hard to find the time to write books, and I usually like have ideas of what I want to write, and I'm sure all creative people can identify like life getting in the way. Obviously, setbacks have been different the last year and a half, but this is the quickest book I've ever written, and you as well. A lot of times, what happens with a creative project is that you kind of get so far with it, and then you get stuck, right? Because you can't find the person to make the video, or you can't find the person to publish it, or all those kind of things. And you're like, sometimes you can be looking years, right, to be like, who's the right person that can help me deliver this project? Everything just came together so fast. I've never experienced it, but I really felt like this book wanted to come out now. And again, it wasn't really about me. It was like the book telling me, I need to be out by November, like we're going to do this. So yeah, definitely that kind of correlates with what you're saying, is like the book told me it needed to be out as soon as possible, like right now.
Well, everything has consciousness, doesn't it? There is a divine timing to everything, I believe. I know it's true. Like, I don't even believe it. I know it's solid fact that everything happens at exactly the right time and divine timing. And you being in my life and us being here together is divine timing. And everybody joining us today or watching this on the replay, divine timing. You hear what you need to hear when you're aligned. So we know that. Isn't it exciting? I just feel like it's a giant party because we're like these little blobs of consciousness coming together and going, way, another blob of consciousness, and now we're bigger together. And it's like we missed each other and you said this again in your book, like all the star seeds and the light workers and all the light bearers, all the ambassadors on this planet, the ones with the codes, it was like coming down on a parachute, dropped like into a war zone, completely on your own. I really had that experience. I really was like, as a little kid, I was like, please come and get me. You dropped me in the wrong place. Come back. Get me out of here. It's like being like a soldier parachuted in to the war zone and go, this is your spot in the war zone here. This is what you're designed for here. And we all landed. And we just couldn't find each other. We were all really far away, and we all felt
meant to find each other. We weren't meant to find each other. But this is what makes me so positive as well. Is I know what I know, and I know that I've been so heavily suppressed my whole life, and so I really fully. I don't just believe. I know that there's millions of people around the world that have so much to give, and there's all these experts in architecture and building sustainable dwellings. There's all these experts in permaculture and sustainable farming. There's all these experts in education and how to raise healthy children. There's like energy, free energy. Like I've got a friend in Bali that's building free energy devices for all the motorbikes. They cost like $5 or something, and they're putting them on the motorbike so they can. It just runs off water, so they can be the motorbikes for free. There's everyone. We've got all the answers, but we've just all been held in this like suppression by the whatever we want to call them, the dark forces. And this is the time when we just the masses have to go. Oh, maybe we'll stop giving our power to them. Maybe we'll think about what other solutions there are. And all the millions of us to go, oh, I know about this bit. Oh, I can tell you about how to do economics. I can tell you about architecture. I can tell you about planting vegetables. And it's going to happen so fast because everyone's like, we're ready, right?
That's the party feeling. That's the excitement I have in my whole body. Is because people are ready. I think, when you get that feeling of everybody coming together, it's like we're all finding each other now, or we have been finding each other over recent years. And then if you didn't find somebody, they're like going, okay, I'm out now and I'm not hiding anymore. And this is who I am. And you've been doing all these videos and you're doing everything else so people can find you. And then everybody knows, oh, I'm not alone. Here's another person like me. There's another me. There's my brother, there's my sister. I recognize myself in this person.
Yeah, or who's someone who's standing for something that I can align myself with, and this feels really empowering. And this makes me feel really happy because we're trying to align ourselves with people. We're trying to give our power away, right? So we align ourselves with people that are always like harvesting, and then we're always like feeling like, oh, what do I have to do? It's that thinking thing again, right? It's like I have to figure out how I can get this right. But when you align yourselves with people who are in alignment, then it brings you into alignment, and then we're all in alignment.
It's a very good indicator, actually, exactly what you just said. If you're hanging out with people or listening to messages, listening to media, listening to any authorities that make you feel less than, that make you feel anything remotely not so good, or drained or tired or fearful, anything not so good, then do you want to keep doing that? Is that the choice you're going to make for your life? Is that what you want more of in the future for you and your children and your children's children? Or when you start hanging out with people who make you feel like this, and what if you started hanging out with them more and it brought more of the good stuff in yourself out, more of your own amazing energy, more of your own amazing truth? And then do you want a future that's kind of feels more like this for your children and for your children's children and your children's children's children? Like, what kind of future are we choosing? And I feel like a lot of people have chosen they want something better, but they're doing this. They're just oscillating, going up, down, riding, trying to ride the waves, trying to figure it out. And it really means making a firm choice, not a half, I want to, but I don't know how. That's not a choice. I want to, and I am, and I'm going to find out how, and I'm open to receiving how, and show me how.
Yeah.
And just align.
Yeah, as Amelia said in that live that we did as well, you can just be 5 degrees of course. You can only be 5 degrees of course, but if you're 5 degrees of course, you're still
miles out.
Take you. Yeah, so it's having that ability to detect the nuance as well. And again, that's where present moment awareness comes in, because you just be okay, I was following this person and they were really helping me, but it's still 10 degrees out, and then you can just keep finding the people that are more and more aligned with you. So it's always again, it's one of those things. It's not like a done thing, is it? You've got to always be tuning into your inner GPS and going, oh, where's it taking me now?
Exactly. And that analogy of the airplane is perfect. And I do it in my book. Like, I talk about this, I just literally call it the thumb test. It's very, very simple. Does that feel kind of good or not so good? And if it's like, your body will never lie to you. You must use your thumb, right? It's not in your head trying to work out the percentage. Use your thumb. It's an instant kinesiology, muscle testing, in divine intelligence tester compass that you've literally probably been keeping in your pocket. Like, take it out, put your thumb out.
Yeah.
How do I feel? I'm going to stick it somewhere else. Not take my power. No, get your thumb out and be like, what does this feel like for me right now? Does this feel kind of true? Does this feel not kind of true? Does this feel kind of good or not so good? If I go over here right now, does that feel good? And if I don't, and I do this, does that feel good? And your thumb is your indicator. And so when it starts going bing, 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 north, yeah, follow that and you can't go wrong. Right?
Yes.
It literally can be that simple if you make it that simple. And it takes humility, because you've got to get over yourself, because you've got to get over the fact that you've been struggling and you've been telling yourself you can't, and it's difficult for ages. Yeah. And actually to admit, oh my God, it's that easy, then that's like swallowing humble pie really a lot. So swallow your humble pie, and or just eat humble pie, swallow the pride rather, eat the humble pie and be like, I'm going to have a happy life from now on. Doesn't matter what you chose yesterday. Doesn't matter what you said before, because now is where it's all happening right now in this present moment. in this timeline, and you talked about timelines as well in your book. You explained some really, the spiritual concepts that lots of people are talking about, and you explained it really well in the book, Kate. So I really appreciate you doing that. Makes it really simple for people to understand. So you can get in your now timeline, you can get in your present moment, and you, my friends, can be in your superpower, and you can create magic.
Yes.
And we're doing it together, and it's really, really fun. And the more that we do things together and cheer each other on, lifting each other up, just smash the old paradigm, let it implode, let it fall apart, smash it, go smash something up and go, yes, this was rubbish, this didn't serve me, and it harmed my children, harmed the earth. Let's
you smash it by moving away from it. You smash it by not giving it energy. You smash it by not giving it power. You smash it by both home educating your kids or growing your own food, or all these things where you're just living with alignment with Mother Earth, with humility on Mother Earth. That is, if we all stop shopping in the supermarkets, right? If we all moved our money over to crypto, which I don't know a lot about crypto,
there's
but I
think it's there as well. Okay, let me tell you,
money out of the banks, right? We just stop giving them the power. They haven't got any anymore.
Yeah.
Easy.
And it's really fun, and it is really fun. It's really fun to be free. Isn't it?
Yes.
It's really fun, and you can have a magic life. Kate Magic, I really love you. You're fantastic.
Oh, I love you, Tara.
And thank you for being on my show. We've actually been talking for way over an hour now. It's easily done, isn't it?
It is, yes. Very easy, yes.
Does anybody have any questions for Kate? I haven't even asked you guys. I'm so sorry about that. We've just been chatting away. Any questions for Kate? I'm going to put your website up again. Anybody wants to go and show everybody the book for those that haven't seen it yet and have just joined us.
Magic.
This is what we've been talking about for the last hour and 15 minutes, is how to create actual magic in your life and understanding the spiritual laws of metaphysics and how to live a magical life. And as I've said at the beginning, and I'll say it again, Kate is the real deal. She lives a magical life. And she's not just saying it. She's actually doing it. She's actually living it. Kate, her Kate Magic by name, Kate Magic by nature.
It's easy and it's fun.
Well, thank you, Kate. Any final words that you want to share with everybody? It's your birthday soon, isn't it?
I just had it. Yeah.
Oh, you just had your birthday?
It's the whole week.
Okay. So everyone, we can sing happy birthday to Kate. Say happy birthday. Brilliant.
So it's a physical book, it's a ebook, it's an audio book. I've got a real life event in Cardiff. If anyone's listening from Wales, we've got a real life event in Cardiff at the end of the month. If anyone's listening from Brighton, I'm doing cacao yoga. I'm teaching yoga with a cacao activation in December the 3rd at Yoga in the Lanes. And then I've got an online weekend retreat where we're doing the book with yoga, and there's a juice fast program as well if they want to do that alongside. So that's the first weekend in January, but you can find it all on rawliving.co.uk. Or I actually am really good now at not spending a lot of time on social media, but I am on Instagram. It's Kate Magic if you want to see me there.
Right. No, that's awesome. So everybody can just find all the details. You have the real life events, Brighton and Cardiff. And you've got a retreat as well with the book, haven't you? Is that the January thing?
Online. It's an online weekend, yeah.
Okay, an online retreat. So basically, go to rawliving.co.uk, find out all about that. I'm sure it's got buttons and pictures that you can find your way around. And buy yourself an organic duvet while you're there, because they look amazing.
Well, they're on special offer this month, the organic duvet.
I know, right? I know. I got the email. I'm like, I like that. I've got several organic duvets already. Otherwise, I would have bought one. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Kate.
Love you, Tara.
Happy birthday, sweetheart. Happy birthday month. And I'll see you really soon. Loads and loads of love. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Loads of love to you too. Close kisses. I want you to just catch those kisses and then kiss yourself and say, I love you, me. I love you, me. And go and listen to your bodies. Go listen to your soul and choose the most amazing thumbs up blissful life for yourself. I love you all, and I'll see you very soon. Mwah.